What if I told you, the woman who makes you feel like the only man in the room might be running the same playbook she's used on dozens before? Think about it. Have you ever met a woman who feels almost too perfect? Like she reads your mind, laughs at the exact right moment, and locks eyes with you like no one else even exists? It feels rare. It feels electric. It feels like fate. But here's the uncomfortable truth, that magic isn't always real. Most men don't see it. They mistake performance for passion. They confuse practiced charm for confidence. They call fast intimacy connection. Yet what if what you're actually experiencing isn't a one-of-a-kind spark, but the result of repetition? Ask yourself, how many other men has she made feel this exact same way? How many times has she run this script before? And if that's the case, how deep can your bond really go? This is the part no man wants to face, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because suddenly, the question shifts. It's no longer, is this special? It becomes, am I just next in line? And that's why in this video, I'm exposing the subtle signs most men miss. The hidden patterns that reveal when a woman has been with many men, even when she tries to cover it up. By the end, you'll know how to separate genuine connection from a well-rehearsed performance. And once you do, dating will never look the same again. You've probably seen this before. She walks into the room, and without saying a word, she owns it. She doesn't chase attention, but somehow she always ends up at the center of it. Every move feels effortless, like she's floating through conversations. Men orbit around her, waiting for a chance to get noticed. And when she finally speaks to you, it feels like you've won the lottery. At first, it's intoxicating. Within minutes, she makes you feel like the most fascinating man she's ever met. She asks the right questions. She leans in at just the right moments. She laughs at your jokes, even the ones you didn't think were that funny. And you can't shake the thought, this feels different. This feels special. But here's where most men get it wrong. That special energy doesn't always come from a place of authenticity. Sometimes, what feels like raw chemistry is nothing more than muscle memory. Watch closely. The way she studies your reactions and adjusts instantly. The way she slides into personal topics without a shred of awkwardness. The way physical closeness just seems to happen, as if you've been together for months instead of minutes. These aren't random quirks. These are polished moves, sharpened through repetition. And most men don't even realize it. They confuse experience with confidence. They confuse rehearsed patterns with fate. But real connection doesn't work that way. Healthy women don't give everything up front. They have boundaries. They take time to build trust, to feel you out, to decide if you're truly worth opening up to. That isn't insecurity. It's natural self-protection. When someone bypasses that process and dives headfirst into intimacy, it's usually because they've done it so many times before that it no longer feels significant. Think about it. If a lock has been forced open again and again, eventually it stops protecting what's inside. And that's the trap. What looks like confidence is often erosion. What feels like chemistry is often practice. And when you mistake one for the other, you risk investing years of your life into something that was never built on authenticity in the first place. Because here's the brutal truth. If she's mastered the art of making every man feel special right away, then what you're experiencing with her probably isn't unique at all. In a moment, I'll show you exactly how these patterns play out and how to recognize them before you get pulled in too deep. Because once you see it clearly, you'll never fall for the performance again. You thought she's just confident? She's conditioned. Once you understand that what feels unique may actually be rehearsed, you start to notice the cracks. You see how quickly the conversation goes deeper than it should. You realize how easily she shares personal details that most people guard for weeks or even months. You feel how fast the walls drop, as if intimacy is just another casual step instead of something meaningful. And that's the giveaway. Healthy connection takes time. It's supposed to feel a little awkward at first. It's supposed to build gradually, layer by layer, as trust grows. When that process is skipped, it's not a sign of rare compatibility. It's a sign that intimacy has lost its value for her. What should feel sacred has become routine. But there's another extreme. Some women don't give too much too fast. They give almost nothing at all. They appear fun, engaging, even magnetic. But when you try to go deeper, you hit a wall. They'll let you know their favorite restaurants or the shows they binge. But when you ask about childhood, fears, or real dreams, the conversation flips instantly. A joke, a subject change, a smooth redirection back to you. It feels like you're dating a performance, not a person. You'll invest more. You'll share more of yourself, hoping she'll finally let you in. But here's what you're missing. She's never had to earn love. She's only had to receive it. And when love becomes something handed to her for free, why would she ever value yours? If she's never had to earn a man's heart, how can she value yours? Each loss adds another lock, another layer of armor. And the harder you try to break through, the more exhausted you become. This imbalance sets up a dangerous cycle. You give, she withholds. You chase, she redirects. You pour energy into creating intimacy, while she sets a hard ceiling you'll never get past. At first, you think patience will pay off. You tell yourself she just needs time. But what you don't realize is that she's designed those walls to protect herself from ever going deep again. And you can't love someone tearing down walls they don't want to tear down. This is where so many men burn out emotionally. They don't see that they're investing in a dynamic built to drain them. And the more you give, the less you receive in return. That's why recognizing this early matters. Because once you understand the difference between natural caution and permanent barriers, you'll stop wasting years on someone who can't meet you halfway. And this is where it turns dangerous. But here's what most men miss. Until it's too late. When you finally step back and look closer, another pattern starts to emerge. Some women build entire ecosystems of male attention around themselves. And this isn't just about one or two guy friends. It's about a carefully maintained network that feeds her with constant validation and backup options. You'll notice she doesn't keep many close female friends. Instead, her phone is buzzing with texts from men. Men from college, men from old jobs, even exes who somehow never fully disappear. Each one serves a purpose. One offers emotional support. Another flirts just enough to keep her feeling desired. And others linger quietly, waiting for their shot. It's not random, it's insurance. If one connection collapses, another can be activated instantly. And where does that leave you? Competing. Even if you're the man she's seeing, you're not her only source of attention. You're part of a rotation, a lineup she keeps in play to make sure she's never without options. Watch how defensive she becomes if you question it. She'll say they're just friends, but the energy says otherwise. This kind of setup reveals her true priorities. It's not about building depth with one man. It's about maintaining variety, excitement, and endless attention. That's why you'll often feel like you're giving more than you're getting, because you're not the center of her world. This isn't just emotional chaos, it's an economy. She doesn't build depth with one man. She builds a rotation of validation, a supply system. She runs on attention, not intimacy. And the moment one man pulls away, another takes his place. Now here's where it gets even more dangerous. In these dynamics, intimacy itself becomes a bargaining chip. Pay close attention to the timing. When she wants something from you, intimacy flows. When she's upset, when she feels slighted, or when she wants to remind you who's in control, it disappears. It's not love, it's currency. And the exchange rate shifts depending on how much she thinks she can get from you. This creates a constant anxiety loop. You're no longer connecting out of mutual desire. You're performing to earn access to closeness. You're monitoring every move, making sure you don't say or do the wrong thing, because you know what's at stake. And when intimacy is used as leverage, the relationship stops being about connection and starts being about control. Some women get so skilled at this that it feels like they know you better than you know yourself. They study what triggers your reactions. They learn what makes you chase, what makes you back down, what keeps you hooked. At first, it feels like deep understanding, like soulmate-level intuition. But it's not. It's strategy. It's manipulation dressed up as passion. And if you don't see it for what it is, you'll mistake that manipulation for love. That's how so many men stay trapped, believing they've found something rare, when in reality, they've stepped into a game designed to keep them addicted. Once you understand how intimacy can be used as a tool, you start noticing another clue: how she treats private moments. With women who have been through many partners, discretion often fades. What should be sacred gets treated like casual conversation. Stories about past relationships spill out with the same tone as talking about a weekend trip. Details that should feel private are tossed around like small talk. At first, you might laugh it off. Maybe you think she's just open or comfortable with herself. But pay attention to how it makes you feel. Something inside you knows that intimacy should be protected. It should carry weight. When she treats it casually, it's because repetition has dulled its value. And here's the real warning sign. If she's this comfortable talking about past private experiences, what makes you think your moments together will be any different? Try voicing your discomfort and watch the shift. Instead of understanding, she'll often flip it back on you. Suddenly, you're insecure or controlling. Instead of respecting boundaries, she reframes your standards as weakness. This isn't confidence, it's erosion. It's the loss of natural discretion that comes from turning something personal into routine. And there's more. Look at the way her relationships tend to follow the same script. The beginning is always explosive. Fast attraction, heavy texting, constant intensity. The peak comes quickly, and for a short time it feels unstoppable. But then the crash is just as predictable. Every time, the story ends in the same way. She blames circumstances, wrong timing, distance, a partner who didn't understand her. But the pattern repeats because she's addicted to the high of novelty, not the work of building something lasting. You might convince yourself that with you, it's different, that the connection you feel is special. But the truth is, that early fire isn't unique. It burned just as hot in every other failed relationship before you. And once the thrill fades, she doesn't have the tools to sustain love through routine, conflict, or compromise. This is why so many men waste years chasing the illusion. They mistake excitement for depth. They confuse intensity with real commitment. But when someone has repeated the same cycle over and over, they're not practicing partnership. They're practicing endings. And if you're not careful, you'll become the next chapter in that same recycled story. The same script with a different name. Recognizing this early could save you years of frustration and disappointment. Because once you see the pattern, you'll realize it was never about compatibility. It was always about chasing the next rush. The pattern doesn't stop with her past relationships. In today's world, it plays out online too. Modern dating has given women with endless options a stage, and social media is their spotlight. For some, Instagram and TikTok aren't just for fun. They're tools to harvest validation around the clock. Scroll through her feed and look closely. The photos aren't random. They're chosen to invite attention. The captions aren't casual. They're designed to stir intrigue. Even the timing of her posts has purpose. Each picture, each story, is bait for compliments, duels, and endless male engagement. And while you think you're competing with a few men in her real life, the truth is you're competing with dozens, maybe hundreds of digital admirers who flood her notifications inbound every single day. This constant stream of likes and comments becomes more than entertainment. It becomes fuel. The dopamine hit from male attention can feel addictive, and once it takes hold, it never stops demanding more. That's why some women can't go long without posting, checking, and refreshing. Attention isn't just nice, it's necessary. And in that cycle, one man's love rarely feels enough. But the deeper problem goes beyond social media. Repeated cycles of shallow connections and constant validation slowly destroy a person's capacity to bond. That's not detachment. That's damage. She didn't just lose the bond. She lost the ability to bond. When you never push it beyond surface-level use, it weakens. For women who bounce from one short-term rush to the next, that muscle starts to atrophy. By the time she meets someone worthy of depth, she may not even know how to access it anymore. This is why so many men describe hitting a ceiling. No matter how much effort they put in, the relationship doesn't go any deeper. It's not that they're inadequate, it's that she's lost the ability to open up fully. She confuses intensity with depth. She thinks emotional volatility is passion, but in reality, it's a cycle of highs and lows that never grows into something lasting. And here's where the disguise comes in. Instead of admitting she can't connect deeply, she reframes it as independence or high standards. She'll say she hasn't met the right person yet. She'll claim she's just selective. But watch closely and you'll see the pattern. Every man who checks the boxes still somehow falls short. The bar keeps moving, always just out of reach. That's because it's not about finding the right man. It's about avoiding real vulnerability. Past trauma, heartbreak, or fear of commitment become shields she never intends to put down. And while she presents herself as relationship-oriented, what she's really practicing is avoidance. You end up auditioning for a role she has no intention of filling. If you look closer, another truth becomes impossible to ignore. Women who spend years cycling through short-term relationships often miss out on building the skills that only long-term commitment can teach. They're experts at beginnings, sparks, excitement, attraction. But when real life shows up, everything falls apart. Healthy relationships aren't just about passion. They require compromise, conflict resolution, teamwork, and sacrifice. Those are muscles built over time, not during the honeymoon stage. But for women who have never gone the distance, those skills are weak. That's why small disagreements explode into threats of leaving. That's why compromise feels impossible. That's why the relationship always feels unstable, like it's built on sand instead of rock. And it gets worse. Many women with extensive dating histories develop what I call the comparison shopping mindset. Instead of committing fully, they treat men like products on a shelf. The man they're with is constantly compared against exes, potential suitors, or even a fantasy ideal that no one could ever live up to. It's a constant scorecard in her head. Every interaction becomes a measurement. Every flaw becomes a strike. Living under this invisible evaluation leaves you feeling insecure. You start questioning whether you're good enough, not because of anything you did wrong, but because she's always looking over your shoulder at what else might be available. Gratitude and appreciation vanish. Instead of being chosen, you feel like you're auditioning again and again for a role that never ends. Now, let's talk about intimacy. In healthy relationships, it flows naturally from desire and connection. But in these dynamics, it becomes a tool of management. You'll notice patterns. Intimacy ramps up when she wants to smooth over conflict. It reappears when she fears losing your attention. It's withheld when she's dissatisfied. It doesn't feel spontaneous. It feels scheduled, almost rehearsed, like a reward system instead of love. This kind of intimacy leaves you unsettled. Deep down, you know it's not about genuine passion. It's about control. And once you sense that, everything starts to feel off. You begin to notice that your relationship runs on conditions, not real closeness. Add to that the imbalance of emotional labor. In many cases, she expects you to do all the work, managing the mood, resolving conflicts, carrying the weight of stability, while she simply shows up. Over time, this imbalance drains you. What started as passion turns into exhaustion, and no matter how much you give, it's never enough. These dynamics aren't accidents. They're patterns built over years of repetition. And unless you recognize them early, you'll find yourself in a relationship that feels like hard labor for one person and a casual ride for the other. By now, the picture is clear. The patterns aren't accidents. They're habits shaped by repetition. Fast beginnings, slow endings. Shallow bonds, endless attention networks, financial tests, and a refusal to plan for the future. What feels like passion at first often turns into limbo, where you give everything but never move forward. A woman who avoids commitment while keeping a rotation of men isn't looking to build. She's looking to maintain supply. And if you step into that cycle, you'll drain yourself trying to provide what she never intended to give back. True independence doesn't need constant rescue missions. True love doesn't use intimacy as leverage. And real partnership doesn't leave you questioning your worth every single day. This isn't about harsh judgment. It's about clarity. You can't force someone to value what they've already devalued. You can't change ingrained patterns with hope alone. What you can do is recognize the signs, protect your energy, and refuse to settle for dynamics that only leave you empty. The right woman won't keep you guessing. She won't test your wallet, your patience, or your self-respect. She'll meet you halfway. She'll make intimacy sacred. And she'll invest in a future, not just a moment. So the choice is yours. Keep auditioning for a role that doesn't exist, or walk away and protect your standards. Because your time, your heart, and your future are too valuable to waste on someone who was never ready to love you back. If this opened your eyes, don't stop here. Subscribe, share this with a man who needs to hear it, and keep raising your standards. Because once you learn to see the difference between performance and connection, you'll never look at dating the same way again. If this feels too real, it's because it is. And if you've seen the signs but stayed, it's time to stop blaming her and start saving yourself.